Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Eris. This is Eris Atelier, where I talk about bag making, leather craft, bag businesses, and everything fun in between. Okay, so you haven't heard from me for a while. I am so sorry about that. I have been busy with my wedding and everything in between. Apparently, I haven't recorded this video some days before my wedding, but nah, it didn't look good. You guys deserve way better. So I decided to do this instead. As you can hear from my voice, I wasn't even feeling too well. I was like really stressed out. So this is the 10 tips that have helped my bag making journey. So if you are a beginner, welcome to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I would love to hear back from you guys. And yeah, I'm working on my wedding vlog. I don't know if you want to see that. You can put it in the comment section. Would you like to see my vlog? This one is so creepy. Alright guys, so these are the 10 tips that I can stand by that have helped my bag making journey. I hope you guys like it. I hope you learned something from it. That being said, this is Eris Atelier. So some of you always wonder why, in theory, you can actually make a good bag in your mind, but when you sort of put it into practice, it doesn't always come out like that. So the thing is that most times is with experience you gain these tricks. You get this experience, your work tends to look better over time. It just means that you figured out the technique on how to handle your tools properly, or how to work your leather or your materials in a more diligent way. So tip number 1, and this is for the beginners, people that are scared of knives. Please, when necessary, ditch your scissors. Use a knife instead, especially if you're cutting leather or synthetic leather. When you're cutting fabric, yeah, you can use your scissors, but when it comes to leather, please, as much as you have to make it a habit, you have to learn how to use your knives. And I got this tip from it's a US YouTube channel. I think they also produce like other stuff. So it's Weaver Leather USA. Ditch your scissors, use your knives. And a big part of that is use a sharp knife. I know some people get scared of working with sharp knives, but I promise you, you are more likely to get hurt. Why am I having an American accent? You are more likely to get hurt when you use a blunt knife, because that one you are applying way more force than you should than when you're using a sharp knife. So please, I beg you, train yourself to get good with using knives. Okay, so a sub tip under this is that if you are scared of or if you're worried rather of using these ones that you get to sharpen, and you're not really good with using the stropping board and all that filing and everything, then you can get a breakaway blade. These ones have good grips. I'm going to put the pictures of this. These ones have good grip and you don't have to sharpen it. It's renewable tip. So basically, when you notice the tip of your blade is getting dull, you can just use like a plier or use something to hold it, and you can just break it off. So that is good for beginners, and you can work your way up to the ones where you have to sharpen them when they start to get dull. So tip number 2 is, if you want to get like a proper square, and you always have this issue of let me say you're using just tape, or you're using just free rulers like that, and your angles are not coming out proper, you can actually get a right angled ruler. This is something that I think since after I discovered that, I have never used like freehand, or I know how some people just use this like rubber the flexible tape and just smack it, because the fact is this, is that if your angles are not perfect when you're cutting your pieces, you cannot hide from it, because with bag it has to be like a proper shape. So if your shapes are not coming out well, when you're done with your bag is going to look sort of slanted. That is what causes it, when your angles are not proper. So please, number 2 tip, use a right angle ruler or an L-shaped ruler to draw your corners. Even if you're drawing a big shape, just make sure that you use it as a guide for your 90 degrees. Number 3, this is for you guys that use contact adhesive or Evo stick or Echo stick, or what other name do they call it? Yeah, contact cement. They are all the same thing. These are just like brand names or like popular names from different regions in the world. So you have to let your contact adhesive breathe. Sometimes when you're working and you notice that maybe you're sewing through a part that you already glued on and you're wondering why the thing is still sticky or your thread keeps breaking, the fact is that you did not use your gum properly. I know it's tempting because you see the gum dry and you start to panic. You're like, oh my god, it's not going to stick. But it's called contact adhesive for a reason. That means that you apply it on the two surfaces that you want to gum. It's not just on one side. The proper way to use contact adhesive, I know someone comments that I always wave my hands too much. I'm sorry, it's a habit. I can't stop. I have to make my points. The proper way to use contact adhesive, ladies and gentlemen, is you apply it first on both sides. That's important. Let me start again. You apply it on the two sides. Let me loud it. And you let it dry a little, not to the point that it's crusty, just to the point that when you touch it, you have to like press your finger in before you can say, oh, it's still a little sticky. That is when you now join the two pieces together. So that one means that you're joining the two surfaces of almost dried contact adhesive, and when you join it and when they touch, see, trust me, you cannot separate those two things, especially when you're gumming something that's soft. It's maybe leather, yeah, it could rip off, but if you use something like foam, it's gone. Just cut another one. So your fourth point is I am speaking on behalf of all the cutting tables in the world that are suffering. Please buy a cutting mat or cutting board. This is not even just for aesthetics. I mean, apart from, okay, people that want to be making content for YouTube or Instagram and all, and you wonder why your work area is so messy, please buy a cutting mat. This actually protects not just the table, but even your cutting tools too. So this way you make sure you have a neat working area, and this is something that you can always clean. So the other day in the studio, ours was like covered in glue and everything. So we just took like kerosene. Yeah, I think that's what she used at the I saw my assistant use kerosene to clean up the contact adhesive. So even if you are worried that when Evo-Stick touches it, you can't clean it, you clean it with kerosene, or I am assuming turpentine. That's a chemical that has a similar feel. So your cutting mat helps you preserve your tools. It protects your table, and it could actually extend the lifespan of your work area. And even for people that don't have tables, I know I've seen some people make videos, maybe they just get like a clear area on the floor, so you could just spread your cutting mat there. So this one, you're not worried about scratching the floor or your carpet or anything. Just use it as a protective layer for both your tools and your surfaces. Okay, so tip number 5 is that you can actually use clips before sewing your pieces together. You can use clips to hold your work together before sewing. So some people actually just go ahead and use a little gum or adhesive, but for me, I prefer clips because it's way easier to make adjustments and it's the safest way to do this. So this one means that if you're closing the bag, for example, and you're joining the panels and you notice that one side is a little off, you can easily just open the thing back up and make your adjustments instead of you just hold it together and start sewing. You can use a Evo-Stick if you are sure, but if you are not, if you need to test your work first, you can actually do that. And another thing I used to do before, especially when I create a new pattern, is that I create like a cardboard paper model, and I use these clips and I just clip the whole thing together. So if you're not sure of your dimensions, if you're not sure of your measurements, you can actually just use these clips to hold your paper model together, and that way you know, okay, this is going to look the way it's looking in my head. All right, the 6th tip is, okay, this actually, I got this from I think someone asked me a question when I made that tan tote bag. So the person was asking me like, oh, what liquid are you pouring on the bag that you're sewing through right now? And I'm like, yeah, it's just sewing machine oil. So when you're sewing through a sticky area and you're sure that the thing you're sewing is not going to absorb, and by absorb I mean, okay, most leathers or faux leathers, yes, they don't absorb oil. So basically, because these things have like like a protective coating or something, so it doesn't soak. But if you want to use this tip, this is very important because this could actually ruin some people's work. You have to do a patch test, because something like suede is more likely to soak because it's actually kind of porous by nature. So something like suede or fabric, and me, when I'm rushing, sometimes I do this and like I don't have time. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait for this adhesive to dry. I'm in a hurry, so I just like do everything like that. And when I get to the sewing point, when my needle starts to get sticky, my thread starts to break, I just use this method. But there are moments when you can't use this, and that's when you're sewing through materials that would normally absorb. I hope you guys understood that. All right, the seventh point is to get cleaner strap. I switch my regular blade for a rotary blade. So when it comes to my cutting, I have my scissors, I have my breakaway blades, and I have my rotary blades. These three things are very important. They all do cutting, but you use them at different points. So now we are talking about switching from the normal blades, which some people use the ones you get to sharpen, or the breakaway blades. You can now switch that for a rotary blade. So rotary blades means that you get to put your ruler and you just sort of run it like along the blade. So that way you apply enough force and it actually just cuts through really smooth, and it's really neat because there are times when I don't want to use the folding method. You can check this video on the methods on how to finish your edges. But when it comes to when I don't want to use the folding method, or I don't have like edge paint in stock and I need really clean cuts, that is when I use my rotary blade and my ruler. And from this one now, I could stem the 8th point, which is you gum before you cut. So what that means is you want to make some straps now, and it's top and bottom. You need it to be very neat. I don't know if anybody ever does this, but this is for whoever does this. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Because let's say you want to cut like 1 inch or 1.5 inch straps. Some people, I don't know if it's a thing, but I imagine it could. I mean, when I started off, I think I made that mistake, but I think once, but I was like, nah, man, this is not worth it. So instead of getting that like sandwich where you have both the top and the bottom leather facing each other, you could actually just get like 2 pieces slightly bigger than whatever it is you want to cut. And then you gum them, then you go over it with your rotary blade, and you get the cleanest straps ever. Even at this point, no matter what you do, it's going to come uniform, because some people would go and cut like 2 1-inch straps, then start gumming it and adjusting the ends. I'm like, that is just too much suffering. Why would anybody do that? So if you're doing that too, I don't want to believe there's somebody doing that, but if you are, this 8th point is for you. No matter what it is you're cutting, cut something slightly bigger, gum it, then you can now go and start cutting your straps from it. So the 9th one is, this is very important. Let me come close. The 9th point, downsize your needle and your stitch size. That's 2 points in one. And by stitch size, I mean the dial where you get to control the size of your stitches. Your needle size is the size of the needle itself. So those two things are under this thing, because you have to understand when you're sewing through something that isn't so thick, if you go and use a big needle, let's say like a size 23, whether it's DP or DB, see the letters just refer to the points, the tip of the needle, but the numbers is the size of the needle. So if you're sewing through something that's thin now, and you're going to use like a size 23 or a size 25, you are going to be stabbing really large holes in your poor work, and it's not going to come out neat. So my personal I think this one, I didn't get this from anyone, I just sort of figured out it's just for aesthetics, but it gives your bag like proper finish. So this is my own formula. When I want to sew through something that isn't so thick, let's say like a front pocket, something cute or something for aesthetic, I actually go down to like size 18. or even if it's even thinner, let's say if it's just one layer of synthetic, I could even go down to 16. Don't worry, the people that made these needles, they know it's going to take it. So for my flatbed, I turned the dial down to like a size 3 or a size 3.5, especially when I'm sewing for aesthetic. So that way you have a small needle sewing small cute stitches. It's really, see, try this thing and put it in the comment section what you think about this. So I only go up to like a size 21 or a size 23 when I am closing my bag. That is when you're joining the very thick sides, and you know, okay, you have to step up your needle, you have to step up your stitch size, because it's common sense. The thicker it is, you have to also increase. So sometimes I just switch to like a 4. It's only if it's very, very thick, I'm like, okay, at 4.5. But you have to watch it, like just look at the needle, look at the distancing. It's not like it's going to miraculously make your bag perfect too, but this is the little contribution to the proper finishing of your bag. So I'm going to write all this in the description, so don't worry about it. If you didn't get the numbers, I'll also put it down there. So the last tip, the last point for you guys this Christmas, you my lovely bag makers, number 10 is, when you get to that tight corner, you can actually use very little super glue to hold your pieces together. So somebody asked me how I used to be able to sew the gussets, that really tight squeeze. If I find a video, I'm going to put this. So this is my personal trick, and this I got from someone. She says that you can just use, it's really small though, not a lot, you're not gumming the whole thing. I mean, I already said I use clips for the other side, but when it comes to that corner, if you are a bag maker, you should know the struggle to sew that bottom side. You know, when the thing, you know now, when the bag will not get to that tight corner and it has to turn, you're sewing the bottom part of the gusset. So me, I got this tip from someone recently, and I use a little super glue to hold just the corners together. The rest you can clip it, but the problem is that usually, I don't know why, I think it's because the cylinder arm doesn't really sit well, so most times your pieces tend to move around a lot. So I use super glue to hold the sides down, and it makes it easier for me to just climb it and move once. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the 10 tips that I can hold myself by, that I have been able to learn from people or figure out myself. And I hope that you can actually, I know some people already do these things, but if you are new to bag making, welcome to the world of drama and heartbreak and constant testing. So you can just pick some of these tricks and you could apply it to your daily project, and let's see if it actually makes any progress. If it does help you, I would love to get some feedback from you guys. If there's any issue you already have in your bag making journey and I did not talk about it here, please ask the question in the comment section and I will definitely get back to you as soon as humanly possible. But all that being said, thank you for watching this video. I mean, if you go up to this point, you are the real OG. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope you liked this. I hope this helped a bit. So the only new thing for next year is I am starting a series, The Life of Eris. I mean, it sounds way more adventurous, but basically it just means that I'm going to be sharing more of my personal vlogs on my channel. Not just tutorials now, we are also expanding. So it means that if I go out for maybe something I think I would want to share with you guys, I could put that up on my channel. So I guess that way you guys get like a more personal feel. I don't know, what do you think about this? But all that being said, thanks for watching my video. Merry Christmas. Yes, that should be about right. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next post. Mwah.